Hi there, in this video we are doing completing the square method, and this is the completing the square method on the quadratic equations. So I'm going to begin with, it is a quadratic factorization. So writing it down, it is a quadratic, one of the method of quadratic factorization. And we know that how do we write down the quadratic expression? So the quadratic expression is written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is a type 1, and in the type 1 we are doing, so I'm going to mention here that this is a type 1, and we are in type 1 we are discussing when the variable of x square, so the x square variable has a coefficient 1. So it means we are dealing with the cases when a is equals to 1. So we are, whatever the example in this video we'll be looking, but using the completing square method, we'll be looking to those where the a is equals to 1, and all the form of the quadratic expressions would be written in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to look to the first example now. So factorizing by using completing the square method. So we are starting with the first example now, where we have been given x squared minus 4x plus 9. So we are having a quadratic expression which is x squared minus 4x plus 1. We see that the x squared coefficient is a 1. So here it's 1. This is our type 1. So we are dealing with those questions where the x squared coefficient is a 1. Now we're going to start how we're going to factorize this by using completing the square method. So we're going to write down by saying x minus, you always half the x variable. So whatever the x variable coefficient is, you always make a half of it. I'm going to write it down over here. So half the x coefficient. So half the x coefficient means whatever the x coefficient is, you make a half of it. So here we have got 4. Half of 4 would be 2. So we'll be writing it down 2 here with the square. And then we'll be getting minus whatever you have got the second term written inside the bracket, you do the square of it, and this must always be the negative sign. Whatever the next term you're having is, where we see that plus 9 at the moment, you're going to write this down. Why we are doing this is just because I try to show it to you that why we are doing minus 2 square. The reason for that is when you expand this out, you'll come out with x square minus 4x plus 4. When we expand it, and I just compare them together. So look to the original question, which is x squared minus 4x plus 9. And we are having x squared minus 4x plus 4. It means the term is not exactly the same. So we have to do little adjustment. And what we are doing the adjustment is basically we take away minus 4 from it. So when we do minus 4 from it, now we don't have this term and this term. And then we are doing add 9 into it. So if you simplify it now, we are going back onto the original question, which is x squared minus 4x plus 9. And this is what we are doing in the whole method of completing the square. Now I'm going to show you the proper example now. So we have a question x squared minus 4x plus 9. I'm going to rewrite this over here. So this now we are having is x squared minus 4x plus 9. This is a quadratic expression which we are factorizing it by using the completing the square method. As I said that we're going to open the bracket. So this is going to be now x. Whatever the sign over here, we follow the same sign over here. And we do the half of the x coefficient. So half the x coefficient means whatever the number is written there, you make a half of it, which is 2 now. You do the whole square on it. Minus, this must be always the minus sign. Whatever the second term you're having is, which is 2 at the moment, and then plus 9. We do the little simplification step after. So we'll keep x minus 2 square minus. When you do the square of this 2 would be minus 4 and then plus 9. You do the simplification between these two terms, which is minus 4 plus 9. And you'll be having a final step would be x minus 2 whole square. When you do minus 4 plus 9 would be plus 5. So this is the factorization of x squared minus 4x plus 9. Now we're going to look to the next example. So here in the next example, we are having x squared plus 16x plus 4. We're going to begin with the same thing. We're going to open up the bracket. We write down x plus. Now we're going to half the x coefficient. So I'm writing it down over here, half x coefficient. So we having the x coefficient is 16. When you do the half of 16 would be 8. So I'll be writing down the next term over here, which is x plus 8 whole square. And then we always minus whatever the second term written here. So we have got the second term written as 8. We're going to do minus 8 square. And this is a plus 4. We're going to do the simplification part now. So we keep x plus 8 whole square. Then minus 64, which is 8 times 8. So we know that 8 square is same as 8 times 8, and that would be equals to 64. So this would be 64 plus 4. You do the simplification by simplifying these numbers together. So you do x plus 8 whole square. When you do minus 64 plus 4 would be minus 60. And this is your factorization of x squared plus 16x plus 4. Now we're going to see another example. So in the next example, what we see that is how we are dividing the x coefficient and then what we are getting then. So here you're going to see that x squared minus 5x minus 2. This says that write in the form of, so we'll be writing this in the form of x plus a whole square plus b. So we are looking for the answer to be written in the form of this. So we'll be having x, then plus, and a whole square plus b. So we're going to start with the same process, but open up the bracket. We write down x minus, we do the half of x coefficient. So when we try to do the x of half coefficient, so this is 5 divided by 2. Now you have a choice either to write this down in a decimal form or you keep in a fraction form, which is 5 over 2. So I'm just keeping in the fraction form, which is 5 over 2 square, and then minus whatever the second term, you do the square of it, and then whatever the third term is, which is minus 2 here. Once you would have this thing, then you're going to do the part of simplification, which is x minus 5 over 2 whole square. When you open up the squaring would be minus 25 over 4, and there's a minus 2 then. Now we have got the terms written, but the first term is in a fraction form, which is going to be this thing. So we'll be simplifying these two terms now. How we're going to simplify, I'm going to show you on the side now. So the simplification of them would be, you'll be writing it down, minus 25 over 4 minus 2. You make the denominators to be the same. So because we don't have any denominator under 2, so it's 1. And then we do the step of making the denominators to be the same. So you times the top and the bottom by 4. You'll be having minus 25 over 4 here. Minus 4 times 2 is 8 over 4. Once you would have the same denominator, you write down the denominator once. And you write down the numbers, what you have in the numerator, which is minus 25 and minus 8. So you'll be writing minus 25 and minus 8. When you simplify minus 25 and minus 8, so you'll get minus 33 over 4. So because we are getting now minus 33 over 4, it means the simplification of minus 25 over 4 minus 2 is minus 33 over 4. This is what we are getting the simplification. We are using it now and writing it down in the form how they expect us to write it down. So we'll be writing x plus 5 over 2 whole square minus 33 over 4. Now, sometimes this says that write down the value of a and b. If you compare them together, clearly you see that a is 5 over 2 and b is minus 33 over 4. Because there's a plus sign, there's a minus sign. So we say that b is minus 33 over 4. I'm going to show you the last example on completing the square method. So, here we have got the last example on this now. So we are having x squared plus 3x plus 10. Again, we are writing down the answer in the form of x plus a whole square plus b. So we are going from the expanded form into the factorizing form. So this is the expanded form we are writing it down in a factorized form in the form of x plus a whole square plus b. We're going to begin with the same thing. So we write it down as x plus half of 3 would be 3 over 2 whole square. Then minus, then whatever the second term, which is 3 over 2 at the moment, you do the square of it and then plus 10. You keep the first bracket the same, x minus 3 over 2. Then you expand them out, which is minus 9 over 4 and then plus 10. Now we're going to simplify the numbers on the side. So this is there now. So we're going to write down this on the side to see that how does the simplification of minus 9 over 4 plus 10 works. We do the first thing is to make the denominators to be the same. So there's a 1, there's 4. You multiply by 4 with the top and the bottom of the second fraction. This would be we'll be getting is minus 9 over 4. So we are having minus 9 over 4 plus 10 times 4 is 40 over 4. We have got the same number in the denominator, which is 4, and you do minus 9 plus 40. That would gives you 31 over 4. So the simplification of minus 9 over 4 plus 10 we get is 31 over 4. We'll be using it here now. So this would be now x minus 3 over 2 whole square, then minus, and we are having, because we are having plus 31 over 4, so I'll be using the same thing, which is plus 31 over 4. Now here, sometimes they can ask you to write down the turning point. So to do with the turning point now, what do you see that? I'm going to use the next slide now to show how to do with the turning point. So this is like a very common thing where in the part B they ask you to find out the turning point. So we are having now x minus 3 over 2. I'll be writing it down over here. So x minus, or I'll go back to it. That's x minus 3 over 2. This is plus and this is a plus basically. So I'm going to write down x plus 3 over 2 whole square plus 31 over 4. Now, what we are trying to find out is the turning point coordinates, or they can use the word the turning point, or they can say that minimum point, or they can use the word find out the maximum point coordinates. So the method is the same. First of all, you're going to start by taking from here. You see that what x value will make the whole thing equals to 0. So we're going to write this down in the form of, because we are finding out the coordinates. So coordinates means you're finding out the x value as well as the y value. So coordinates are always written in the form of x and y. So I'm changing this in the form of y equals x plus 3 over 2 whole square plus 31 over 4. So this whole thing is equals to y. To get the x coordinate, we always see that what's making our bracket equals to 0. What x value I'm going to take, so I would have the whole bracket equals to 0. It's really simple that if you take x equals to minus 3 over 2. So clearly we see that minus 3 over 2 plus 3 over 2 will make the whole bracket, this whole thing equals to 0. So we know that because they are exactly the like same terms with the positive and negative. So taking, I'm going to write it down, taking x equals to minus 3 over 2 will make x plus 3 over 2 whole square equals to 0. So now because we are having this whole thing equals to 0, with the value x is minus 3 over 2, and because this whole thing would be 0, what we'll get the y value would be 31 over 4. So which means that the turning point coordinates would be minus 3 over 2, and because you have got this whole thing equals to 0, what you're having remaining is y equals to 31 over 4. So these are your turning point coordinates. I'm going to show you with one more example how to find out the turning point coordinates. So as we have done in the previous examples already, for example, if we have got x squared minus 5x minus 2. This says that to write this down in the form of x plus a whole square plus b, and it's just, I'm not re-showing you again, it's just you can rewrite this in the form of, that would be x minus 5 over 2 square. That would be minus 33 over 4. So this is what we're having into this form. Now, let's say if we have got the question to find out the turning point coordinates or the maximum or the minimum point coordinate, I'm going to write this down with y. I'm going to start finding the coordinates. Coordinates means finding out the x value as well as the y value. So to begin with the x value, I'm going to start what x value will going to make my whole bracket equals to 0. So taking, I'm going to write it down. If I take x equals to 5 over 2. So plus 5 over 2 and minus 5 over 2. I'm going to show you here now. If I'm taking x equals to 5 over 2, I'll be having now the whole thing to be written as y equals 5 over 2 minus 5 over 2 whole square minus 33 over 4. Them two would this be the same term, so that would cancels out. So it means when you take x equals to 5 over 2, this whole thing will go, and what you'll be getting then y equals to, you'll be getting minus 33 over 4. So the turning point coordinates would be, so I'm going to write down the point coordinates will be, so what I take the x value is 5 over 2, and what do I get the y value from here is minus 33 over 4. So this is all about how to write down the quadratic expression. in the factorized form by using a completing square method. And once you get in the form of a, x plus a whole square plus b, how can you find out the coordinates of the maximum or the minimum point?